If you have a Massachusetts wastewater operator's license, you probably received a renewal notice from NEIW PCC to renew your license recently. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the license renewal process, what you need to do to renew your license, and how to properly submit the right information to NEIW PCC to make it easy for them to renew your license. The current licensing period is a 2-year window that started on January 1st, 2024 and ends on December 31st, 2025. Hi, I'm Brian Hagopian, a professional instructor here to help you navigate all the forms and paperwork associated with having and keeping your wastewater license. I also offer state-approved online courses if you need to get training contact hours but don't have the time to attend an off-site or in-person class. First off, I have to say that NEIW PCC did an excellent job explaining the renewal process this time around. They included an information sheet which does a great job of explaining all your options depending on whether you're active or inactive. Plus, they also cover how to change your status as part of the license renewal process. I'm going to divide the rest of this video into sections to cover each specific situation, so feel free to jump ahead to the section that applies to you. When you're done with that section, be sure to jump ahead to the last section to make sure you submit the correct information. If you're not sure where to start or which section applies to you, take out your license and look at it to see if you're listed as active or inactive. Then jump ahead to the section that fits you. Here's what my license looks like, and here are the different sections. The first section applies if you're active right now and want to remain active. The second section applies if you're active right now, but you don't work at a job that requires a wastewater operator's license, so you want to keep your license but change your status to inactive. The third section applies if you don't work at a job that requires a wastewater operator's license, so you're inactive right now and you want to remain inactive. Now that's my situation. And the fourth section applies if you're inactive right now, but you just got a job or you have a job now where you have some wastewater responsibilities, so you want to change your status from inactive to active. Now the last portion of this video, which you definitely don't want to miss, covers the details of exactly how to fill out and submit the renewal form and what information to include with your submission to renew your license. Section 1. For operators who are active and want to remain active, you need to provide NEIW PCC with proof that you've gotten the required number of training hours during the current license renewal period. Now, at least half of those hours you submit should be technical or wastewater related, and the training requirements vary based on when you last took and passed the licensing exam. There are 3 different situations. 1, if you've taken and passed the licensing exam in 2025, you've only had your license for 1 year or less, so you only need 10 training contact hours. And the good news is you got 10 hours for passing the exam, so you don't need to show proof of anything else. These 10 hours should already appear on your license renewal form, so you can jump ahead to the last section of the video right now. 2, if you've taken and passed the licensing exam in 2024, you've now had your license for both years of the license renewal period, so you need to provide proof of 20 training contact hours. But you got 10 hours for passing the licensing exam, so you only need to show proof of 10 additional training hours. The 10 hours for passing the exam should already appear on the back page of your license renewal form. And if you've taken any other courses that NEIW PCC knows about, they should be listed as well. If the total on the back page of your license renewal form doesn't add up to 20 hours, you'll need to include proof of additional hours by including a copy of your training certificates to show them that you've met the training requirements when submitting the renewal form. Now 3, if you've had your license for more than 2 years, you simply need to provide proof of having received 20 training contact hours. And remember that at least half of those training hours have to be technical or wastewater related. If you've taken any other courses that NEIW PCC knows about, those should be listed on the back page of your renewal form, and you don't need to submit any additional proof for those hours. If the total on the back page of the license renewal form doesn't add up to 20 hours, you'll need to include proof of any additional training that you've received by including copies of your training certificates along with the hours awarded when submitting the renewal form. Section 2. For operators who are currently active but who are no longer working in a position that requires you to have a wastewater operator's license. You can change your status to inactive by checking this box on page 1 of the license renewal form. If you're inactive, there's no requirement to receive or show proof of having received training contact hours. So all you need to do is pay the renewal fee to renew your license. When you receive a fresh copy of your license, it will show your new status as inactive. In Section 3, for operators who are currently inactive and want to remain inactive, but keep their wastewater operator's license intact. This one is really simple. All you need to do is pay the renewal fee to renew your license. You'll renew your license and your status will remain inactive. Section 4, for operators who are currently inactive, but who are now working in a position that has some wastewater responsibility. If this is you, then you should change your status from inactive to active as part of the license renewal process. Now, in the past, you had to submit a change in status form separately, but you can now change your status at the same time as renewing your license. To do so, you'll need to do 2 things in addition to submitting your license renewal form. Fill out and submit a change in status form, and I have a link to a separate video on how to fill out a change in status form below. And 2, submit proof that you've received 10 training contact hours in 2025 by submitting a copy of a certificate of completion. They don't specifically say this, but the 10 hours you submit should be technical or wastewater related, just to be on the safe side. So let's take a look at the license renewal notice itself and go through what we have to do to properly submit the form. I'm going to use my renewal notice as an example. First off, make sure that your name, address, and email address are correct. If you have changed addresses or if you have a different email address than appears on the notice, check the appropriate box and write the correct information in this area. If you're changing from active to inactive, check this box. Now, unfortunately, you can't renew your license online, so you have to do it the old school way by mailing hard copy information to NEIW PCC at the address that appears on the renewal notice. You can pay by check, money order, or credit card. Do not send cash. All right, just check the box to show how you're paying and be sure to fill out the amount you're enclosing, which is $75. If you're paying by check or money order, make the check out to NEIW PCC and write the customer number, which is your license number, on the front of the check or money order so they know who to credit when they cash your check. If you're paying by credit card, circle the card type and include your credit card number, expiration date, signature, and today's date. But check this out. They're asking us to write our email address here so that in the future, we just might be able to renew our licenses online. Note that NEIW PCC wants you to cut and send in the top third of this renewal notice, but don't cut it just yet. You'll want to fill out all the information first, then make a copy for your records, then cut on the dotted line. If you turn this renewal notice over, this is where they list any training contact hours that they know about. If you took and passed the licensing exam, or if you attended any quarterly meetings or NEIW PCC training, these hours should appear here. But check this out, on my renewal notice, they have listed an exam I took and passed in October of 2023, which was for the previous licensing renewal period. And it also looks like they gave me credit for these hours in 2024, which means that I can apply it to the current licensing renewal period. Now that means that I would only need to send in proof of an additional 10 TCHs to renew my license. Now for me, this doesn't matter because I'm inactive and I don't have to submit any hours to renew my license. Now, if less than 20 hours appears on the renewal notice, you'll need to submit proof of additional training hours. It's important to remember that half your training hours must be technical or wastewater related. No more than 10 hours can be safety. And all the courses you submit with this renewal notice should be approved for training contact hours by the Massachusetts Board of Certification. You'll know they've been approved if they have a Board of Certification or BC number assigned to them in this format. Now, if you submit certificates for courses that don't have a Board of Certification number, you may only receive partial credit, or you may receive no credit at all. Now, you can submit more than 20 hours of training, but you need to submit at least 20 hours. What you submit is up to you, but to make it easy for them to approve your hours and quickly renew your license, if it were me, I would only submit courses approved by the Massachusetts Board of Certification. Now, while we're talking about training hours, it's important to know that if you've received more than 20 training contact hours for the current licensing period, you can't carry any of those hours forward to the next licensing period. That's right, everybody's training hours reset to 0 on January 1st when the next 2-year license renewal period starts, and you'll need to get at least 20 brand new training contact hours during the next 2-year period. Now let's go back to what we need to submit with the renewal notice. Make a copy of both sides of this renewal notice before you cut the form on the dotted line as shown here. Find the envelope that came with this renewal notice and be sure to include the following in the envelope: the top portion of the license renewal notice, your signed check or money order if you're paying that way, or the credit card information they need to process your renewal application. Copies of any certificates of completion along with the state-approved course numbers as proof of training that you received during the current license period. A change in status form, which is needed only if you're changing your status from inactive to active. Now, the back of the envelope provides a reminder of what you should include or stuff in the envelope with your submission. When everything is in the envelope, seal it, flip it over, put your return address on the front, and don't forget to add a stamp before you send it out. Now, if you lost the envelope, send it to NEIW PCC at the address on the renewal notice and mark it Attention Renewals. The current license renewal period ends on December 31st, and as long as you submit this information and your payment before December 31st, there are no penalties or late fees. However, if your check bounces, you'll be assessed an additional $30. If you submit after December 31st, you'll have to pay an extra $30. And if you're more than 3 months late with submitting your information and payment, you'll have to retake the licensing exam to reinstate your license. So, do it now while it's fresh in your mind and send the information to the folks at NEIW PCC as soon as you can. If you submit in September or October, you'll get your new license a lot faster and you'll avoid the last-minute rush at the end of the year.